Vintage. Remember those frames we did the other day with the glaze and the distress and the wax? Today's DIY video is all about chalk art. We took those frames and we turned them into chalkboards. My cute sister-in-law, Mariah Ray, shows us she does some simple chalk art and shading techniques so you can do your chalkboard art at home.
Hi, Zeb here with Jami Ray Vintage. I have my sister-in-law Mariah with me today. We're going to show you some techniques on that frame I built. She's actually going to show us how to put the cool chalk on. I can do it. Sometimes you'll see the Jami Ray Vintage signs behind me, but that's my art. It's not that awesome. She's really good and she can do calligraphy too, so maybe we'll show you a little bit of that as well.
So you can do it all freehand if you're wanting to do that with anything. Just make sure you tape it off if you are doing it freehand because it can get really wonky really fast. I'm gonna do a Jami Ray Vintage logo, and so I'm gonna actually show you guys a technique so that you can get it right on exact so that it's the logo on there and it doesn't look like it's something different, since she might use this for shows. So first thing you're going to need to do is have your supplies ready. There's the normal chalk that you can buy, like the school chalk. There's chalk markers that you can use, and then there's also chalk pencils that you can buy at your local craft store. One thing that you're going to need to also have is printed out what you want on your chalkboard. If your chalkboard is really big, then you might have to use multiple papers. I put in there's holes punched in the J and the A, and you can do it that way by centering it on the board wherever you want it, and then you take your chalk pencil and you go in and you hit those dots, and then it will shine through. Also, another way that I've already started is you mark out with a regular pencil, you mark out where you want all of your stuff and you just scrape it. So I'm going to do that all the way around so that you can see, because we're going to do the actual part of the logo that is the border, so that she gets the full logo. Put it on your board wherever you want it. And then you go through with your pencil or your pen, whichever, because now you have lead on the back side, and you just draw where you want it.
So that's a lot easier than I normally do. Usually I get a ruler and I stencil it out and try to make it go.
This is a lot less heartache, a lot less everything. When you try to do it with a ruler and trying to get it perfect, you do a lot of erasing. It takes a lot of time.
I use a wet paper towel to erase. Works like magic. You just have to wait for your chalkboard to dry.
Yeah. Make sure that your chalkboard, before you start using chalk. Now, I'll show you some different things for that. So you go through here, and I'm getting it pretty perfect on the back side, so that, like I said, because it's a logo, if it was just something that I was using in my house, it would be really different because it wouldn't have to be so precise. But because it's a logo for a business, you want to get it as precise as you can so that there's no copyright problems or anything like that.
So something I do on something like this, if it's going to be a logo that I'm going to just leave forever so that it doesn't get smudges or smears, you can do polyurethane, like we like to cover everything, and that will keep your logo or whatever design you've done. That'll put it just perfect on there forever, and it won't get smudged. You can wipe it off with anything wet and it'll stay the same.
Also, something that you can use, the polyurethane is for a permanent hold. I've done some chalkboard things for events where we wanted it so that it wouldn't smudge necessarily where people are walking by it. But if you don't want it permanent on there with the polyurethane, you can just spray it with hairspray, and it will be a little bit tacky, but you can at least wash it off to a certain point. So if you're wanting it there for a long time but not permanent, hairspray is awesome, and it doesn't matter what kind of hairspray as long as it's an aerosol hairspray, because if you use a pump hairspray, then it's really wet.
You all know I use a lot of hairspray.
Yeah. So for this, I'm just going to go over the border, and so you can see this is so easy, and it hasn't taken me very long at all to get this where we want it.
The last time I did this for one of Jami's signs that we did in chalk, I actually got a big bowl out and traced the bowl in a big circle, and then I got little scallops, and it took forever.
One thing that I've always just studied calligraphy, and so I know a lot of different types, but a lot of times I did chalkboard art for the Ray family on a door, and I did it all freehand. So what I was doing while I was I taped everything out on the board. And one thing is I just got on my phone or my tablet and I pulled up a whole bunch of different fonts that I could use so that while I was taping, I knew how big I wanted it. So you want that subway art where it's bigger and then smaller. Make sure you tape that off. So now that I've taken the paper off, you can see all of the little markings with my pencil that I used, but just by scratching the back of the paper. It's very precise, it looks just like the logo, and now you have your guidelines for where you're gonna mark it with chalk. I'm gonna use the chalk pencil just so that I can really get the outline going. So I'm gonna just go over the pencil marks that I had, and again, I'm just tracing everything that I've already put on there. But as you can see, it looks just like the paper.
She's really fast at this too. You might have to do a few tries like I do because I am not very exact, even though I like to do it, and it takes me a while.
So then for the vintage, you can just outline because there are thicker parts of it. So I did the double. I went around the thicker parts so that you could see when I had it on there. I needed to make sure that I knew that those parts were thicker on the logo. So I'm just going to outline those, and I can either use a chalk marker to kind of shade it in, or I can use the pencil and you just get it right in.
Those pencils are nice.
These pencils are awesome.
I like really exact, crisp chalk art, and my wife, Jami, she likes it to be just all over the place, nice and dusty, which is something we also didn't talk about. You can get this piece of chalk here, that you just school chalk, and we do what you could call seasoning your board, almost like seasoning your cast iron for the good tasty treats. And what you do is you just go over it and then erase it with something dry, and that gets a lot of powder on there so that when you do have mistakes and need to dry or erase something, then it doesn't look super obvious like you made a mistake. It just looks like the rest of the board because you already have chalk all over it. Maybe we'll show you that on another board.
Yeah, we'll show you on the freehand board. That's a really good technique to use when you're freehanding because there's a lot of erasing when you're freehanding. As you can see, I do have a little bit of chalk on my hand, so I'm just gonna wipe it a little bit without wiping it off. And because the pencil is on there and the pencil is not chalk, if you're really nice and soft about it, you won't erase the pencil marks. You'll just erase the chalk that was on the palm of my hand.
The best thing I've found for erasing the pencil marks, if you had some that were over or weren't quite on there, is actually using a real pencil eraser like what's on the back of these. Will get it off a lot better than just using like the wet cloth, because the wet cloth isn't necessarily going to take the lead from the pencil off.
Right here there's a little indentation that I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be there or if I just messed it up on the thing. So it's really important to have whatever you're referencing in front of you so that you never have any second doubts. I'm going to show you how to freehand a banner. Zeb liked the way that this banner looked. So I know that this is over here, and so you kind of have to have some kind of perception of how far you want to have it. So you're just going to go and just kind of follow. Now that I look at it from far behind, this is where it comes in that you are going to be using a lot of wiping because you can't get it always perfect. So this is a little bit higher, so I'm gonna just bring this up just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna cut it in, And I'm gonna cut this side in also. And then at this point, you could measure and make sure that your cut ends are the same. And then I'm just gonna follow the line that I did, since we are wanting it to look like a ribbon effect. So at this point, it goes round, but I'm gonna start it here and then come around. So then right here where the shading is, you're gonna want this to look like it's rounded. So then this point you can go in and kind of shade it, and there's a lot of lines on this. So we're gonna go in.
Do you want the bigger chalk?
I'm gonna just do this first and kind of mark it out so that I can step back and see it. All right, I'm gonna move to the marker now, and I'm gonna make these lines a lot thicker. And I'm not too terribly worried about marker lines just because I'm making really long strokes.
Let's get some hardcore calligraphy going. Let's show them what you got.
Okay. All right, so for Halloween, I'm gonna do it kind of old school.
So the reason I had her do Halloween is because when the kids come to my door, I want them to feel like this house is legit. And usually they come expecting full-size candy bars, and I give them Tootsie Rolls. What will probably happen though is Jamie will end up taking this to one of her shows, and she'll sell it on me, and I won't have it, and I'll have to do it myself. And it won't look as cool. Hey, how come you only did one elf?
Shut up. What? Then I would be doing a lot of erasing. The sad part is that while I've been doing this, I kept thinking, don't spell it wrong, don't spell it wrong. So for you to say that is really scary for me.
I've spelled Halloween wrong until I was like 32 years old.
So there you go. There's your
Awesome.
Halloween.
Hey, where's my spider web in the corner?
I can totally do spider web.
Alright. And I wanted a pumpkin here.
You know, when your clients want something, you just gotta give them what they want.
I'm testing her freehand skills here. Good job, Mariah. Thank you for assisting me today.
Yep.
So we've got...
You look really funny in your,
With your floating head.
no, it's like reminding me of,
So we've got our chalkboards all done. Mariah did an excellent job. Thank you for helping us out. And hopefully you guys have learned something from these tips.
I love what Mariah did with the chalk art. She took this big chalkboard and made us a happy Halloween sign. I don't have a lot of time for decorating, so this will probably be the only Halloween decoration in our house. She also made me this cute little Jami Ray vintage sign. I think I'm gonna have it up at my fall extravaganza this Saturday to show everybody where my booth is. Thanks, Mariah, for your awesome work. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more DIY.